You're watching the Metaphysical Mentor podcast with Michael Philpott. Our recording. Asha, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm so wonderful today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really I'm glad you're on the show, and I have to say congratulations on the new book.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's really something I always appreciate a fellow Canadian doing well, especially on Hay House. Like that company in itself, I mean, it's quintessentially the OG of spirituality when it comes to books and authors and everything else like that. And I know I've got a lot of Louise Hay's books herself. So now I'm really pumped to have your book. And yeah, it's really exciting. So how did that come about?
So I actually entered a contest. It was part of their Hay House workshop. They have like a writer's workshop, and I was part of a diverse wisdom initiative. So it was for diverse authors to apply. So there was like, I don't know, 160 people that applied, and then 12 of us made it. And then we all went down to Houston, took the workshop, and then wrote a book proposal. And they had a winner from that. So we actually tied with someone else. So two of us won the deal. And, but the proposal took a while. Like it was probably a good 7 or 8 months of writing that and really being intentional about that. And also praying to Louise Hay that I would be a winner and that I would be published by her incredible company. And then it came true. So on my birthday, or the day before my birthday, I found out. Reed Tracy called me on my cell phone. I missed the call, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I won!" So it was really exciting. It was really exciting.
Yeah, it's always something, especially on your birthday of all times, right? Like that's like the best birthday present you can get, right? It's like,
Totally.
yeah. So let's talk about the book for a second. We're talking about animal spirits and things like that. And my listeners, I get so many. I'm actually inundated by emails and DMs. People like, "Hey, can you really find out about animal spirits? Do you know anybody who talks about animal spirits?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I'm going to have somebody on of animal spirits." And it was so perfect that your book is partially about that too as well. So can maybe just talk about a little bit about your book and what's kind of you don't have to tell the whole book, but you just give us a little bit of what's happening with the book itself.
Yeah, so the premise is it's based around the 13 moon cycles, the 13 full moon cycles that is actually, represented on the turtle's back. So it starts on the turtle shell, which we call Turtle Island, this land that we are on. And the 13 moons cycle through the book. So we go through all of the teachings of the 13 moons, and each moon has an animal spirit that is representing that moon. So the animal is threaded through with the teachings and the spirit and the medicine that it carries. So it offers the reader a chance to kind of connect to that medicine within themselves, how it speaks to them in their life, and then how, from an Indigenous perspective, what the teachings are about that animal and how you can apply that in your own life and find that in a way that that kind of resonates with you.
Okay. So is it possible to maybe go through all 13? I know so many people have been going, okay, I got to know all 13 of those spirit animals. Now, are the spirit animals, are they specifically for your teachings, or they were more of a broader base expansion of all Indigenous cultures? Or is it just very
Um,
specific for yours?
the book is written specific to Anishinaabe teachings and basically my own teaching. So because of residential school trauma, I've been really separated from Indigenous, my Indigenous teachings in ways. My grandparents were in residential school, so that got broken a lot. So a lot of what is in my book is actually channeled information from my ancestors in the spirit world. And yeah, I don't know necessarily that you'd find it anywhere else. We're an oral tradition, so a lot of it's storytelling as well. And yeah, but it is based in, like, I'm Anishinaabe, so it's based in my own teachings. But of course, I've studied with many like shaman and other healers and Indigenous teachers, so that's always threaded through as well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's always so fascinating. And I just always just enjoy listening and learning more about our indigenous cultures and stuff like that. Now let's go through the animal spirits. Let's start with, okay. If we go through the 13, let's start with number one.
Okay, in the book,
Yeah.
yes, I work with a lot of animal spirits, but these are the ones that came through for the book.
All
So,
right.
turtle medicine comes through first, and as I said, because the 13 moons are on the turtle shell, that is our creation story starts on the turtle shell. So, turtle medicine is rooting, grounding, earth connection to that stability energy. So, and of course, slow medicine, turtle medicine teaches us that. But it really is connecting in my book about our beginning, our roots, and our own creation story, because we all have a creation story.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first animal that we
All right.
connect with. And then the second one is Thunderbird. And Thunderbird's spirit is really about, it's part of my new medicine name, actually. So it's really about connecting with your own innate nature, connecting with your incredible power and the divinity of all that you carry. So just remembering that you come from the stars, remembering you're one with all of creation. And there's no comparison, because that's something that we often do in our lives, is we compare ourselves to other people and other beings. So that is the next animal. And then bear medicine
Okay, I've heard of that.
yes. So bear medicine, of course. At this time of year, we're in bear, or actually, we're not. We're not in bear right now. But bear medicine is hibernation and connecting to our inner sacred no and our boundaries, making sure that we're listening to that inner call to rest, and which can be really hard in this kind of capitalistic society that pushes us forward. So bear medicine is one of the animals, and then deer medicine comes next with the next moon.
Okay.
And deer medicine is a medicine that teaches about self-compassion and gentleness. It teaches us about connecting to that inner kindness. So that inner critic that comes out so harshly for many of us, a deer comes in and softens that. Yes.
Yeah.
So deer is a beautiful medicine for that. And then we have a frog, and frog medicine is
Okay.
about purification. So purification and cleansing, and just clearing the clutter out. So we often have a lot of clutter in our minds, in our hearts, and then in our homes. And frog teaches us to do even like energetic or spiritual clearing, because spiritual hygiene is so important. If you're doing any sort of work in the world, just doing some cleansing with some smoke medicine, and then cleansing of the emotions of our heart too is really important. So frog helps us with that. And then we have butterfly. So
Okay.
butterfly medicine, many know, is transformation and moving from death to rebirth, or darkness to light, bringing in that. Butterflies are so beautiful. The caterpillar like has that emotional cell that knows, they know how to manifest into this butterfly. So remembering that we have that medicine within, and we just have to be it has to be initiated inside of us. Then we have the Canada Goose. So the
Okay.
Canada Goose medicine, which is about community, and we never leave anyone behind. So in my teaching in this book, it's about making sure that, when we say we're all one, seeing what that really means. Like, are we actually including everybody? Are we being inclusive? Are we looking at our biases? Are we doing anti-racism work? That part is very, very important.
So it's like the
Because
flock in some
it's
ways.
like
It
the flock.
symbolizes the, yeah.
Symbolizes the flock, and we also just need to be really mindful of doing that work, each one of us, especially in reconciliation on Turtle Island right now. So that's really important.
Okay.
And then we have porcupine.
All right. Porcupine.
Porcupine medicine, we use porcupine. We use the quills for lots of weaving baskets and those sort of beautiful crafts. Porcupine teaching us to release shame and guilt that we carry so effortlessly, it seems like, and releasing generational trauma. So if you're a person that carries that and holds that, porcupine helps us to move into grace and understanding that whatever we're carrying from our ancestors, we can heal through, and we can create beauty for the next generation.
All right. That sounds good. I like that.
Yes. And then we have wolf spirit. Wolf spirit being the spirit of boundaries and protection, and helping us to discern what is good for us and what's not good for us. Wolf coming forward when there might be energies that are coming at us that aren't for our highest good, that we're going to say no to. Wolf to me is just a very discerning, tracking energy that comes forward from a shamanic perspective. It comes forward and it just says, no, you're not getting in, and we're clearing you out of that. So that's a
Yeah.
very,
Yeah. I've heard that a lot. So wolf is like a very, very strong, but also it's like the pack too. It's like you're packed, you're kind of protected by that pack.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. All right. Wolf. All right. What's the
yes,
next
I
one?
will. So then we have eagle, and eagle medicine is the medicine of vision. So the visionary carrying your legacy into the world and really asking yourself, what is my legacy? How am I going to impact and create the ripples that I need to create, eagle always just like keeps us in that vision, right? Because we can lose that sometimes. So eagle just says, you are a visionary, you have a legacy, it's time to take that flight, and you have everything that you need to do that. So eagle is in there as well. And then we have buffalo. Buffalo is about letting go and surrendering. And as I'm sharing these, you might just find themes, because really we're going through the year, right? So buffalo is
Okay.
moving through the fall energy, which is like letting go of leaves, surrendering, and then harvesting our abundance. So buffalo says you are worthy of receiving. There's abundance around. You can open yourself up to receive once you let go of what you no longer need. You can do that. And then we have snake.
All right.
And snake is the healer. So snake reminds us that we all have an inner healer, an inner wise one, a vital force that is this brilliant force of light that we can heal ourselves. I was a homeopath for many years. So a snake always reminds me, like, we've got that inner sort of vital force that's able to bring us back into wholeness. So we have snake, and then we have spider. And spider, as the last one, was like a weaver. So we like woven through all of the medicines, bringing them together. And then if you think about our dream catcher, the spider, our story is that the spider created that. So it's like bringing our dreams into being and birthing them into the world. And spider helps us to do that. So
Well,
that's sort of a very fast summary of.
but but it's fantastic. I think, I mean, they're really to the point. And, I've heard a few of those, and, some of them I also resonate myself. The eagle, the buffalo, I've heard before. I have a friend of mine, she talks about the buffalo spirit. Now, just a question, what's the difference between an animal spirit guide and an animal totem? Are they the same thing?
I believe that they are the same thing. It just depends on, I guess, the lineage that you're learning from or teaching from. I really love to think of it as medicine, like animal medicine. Versus sort of like this spirit that comes and like you're praying to it or whatever. It's sort of like a medicine that you can find within yourself, that can help you or guide you or protect you or provide guidance to you. But I would say a totem is more like a clan. So I'm part of the Crane clan. So that's the way I see totem, but other practitioners or teachers might see that differently from a shamanic perspective. People say, I'm doing a totem retrieval. I'm retrieving like a part of that animal so that I can, ask for it for help for myself. So I'd say it's sort of just different based on the lineage. I love to use the word medicine though when I talk about animals.
Yeah, I mean, they're so profound. And now when you work with clients, are you basically, I know you're very intuitive and you're very connected to the energy. Are you looking for specific, animals that are surrounding them, their guides and stuff like that, and then teaching them how to integrate that into their lifestyle to help heal them? Is that how it works?
At times, like, I mean, I use a lot of animal medicine in my circle work. So we'll do a journey, an animal will come forward, but then I always love to ask the person, like, how does that feel for you? What does it mean for you? I can tell you what it means. And I know everybody wants to know that. I could see it for you. And I know it's more potent. I've served thousands of people. They've lied on my table. And when they get the animal and they get the medicine and it flows through them, it's everlasting, right? If I tell them something, it might last for 2 days, but then
Yeah.
they're on to the next psychic or whatever. So it just is more potent when it comes from within. So if somebody sees something, like, I mean, I'll be working with my mentorship clients. Like yesterday, a flamingo came really strongly around this person's new offering. I said, "The flamingo medicine filled here." So then it's just like, what does that mean for you? And then how can you call that flamingo in every time you're writing copy, every time you're putting an Instagram post out, like how can you even find images that represent that energy? So it's all about essence and energy, but I do use animals a lot. And the people I work with seem to really know how to, like, they really respect them, and they use them as like their friend or their ally, as a helper.
Yeah, I mean, it's so profound. I've heard so many amazing things from people working with animal spirits, over the course, especially, over the course of my own learning, but even of course, since doing the podcast here, I've learned so many different things, and it's always so fascinating to listen to that. And when people talk about, they could just, the eagle or, the turtle or the frog or whatever it may be, how profound that could be. And I remember years ago, if you would have told me this, I would have said, you're crazy. But now I'm a firm believer, and it's interesting. I always know when like spirit will show up in animals for me sometimes when, I'm having doubt, or I'm having a crappy day, and I'm just kind of putting it out there, say, hey, listen, I see a sign, and next thing you know it, I'll be looking out my apartment window, and there's an eagle flying through, and it's just sitting there, and it's like, why is there's no eagles around here? And there's that eagle, and it's just reminding me, like, hey, dude, you asked for it. We're kind of watching out. It's always so profound, and I'm always kind of paying attention to that stuff. Do you find that your clients now are paying more attention to the animals around them, and when they ask for assistance or guidance, all of a sudden a deer shows up?
Yes, people really, it does. It's just like, it's just being mindful, right? And I think if we have these conversations and people experience it from a spiritual perspective, then they bring it into the earthly realm and they start to think, oh my goodness, I just like, I prayed for a sign and then I saw two deer, or I saw an eagle or a hawk, or I found a hawk feather. Or even like, sometimes it's like, well, usually dreams come a lot from my clients, but also like, even just my child really wanted that stuffy of that sloth or something, and then it's just like, oh, why am I seeing sloths everywhere? And just really being mindful that there's messages everywhere for us. We just need to be open to the synchronicity and the magic.
Yeah. Now, is that something you teach your clients, is to really pay attention to those synchronicities?
I do, yeah. Like, right. I mean, I'm sort of in the middle of doing different things right now, but yes, like I had a membership for almost 3 years, and we talked a lot about that in our calls, about paying attention and just being open. But I believe in so much magic and synchronicity, so I think if anybody's in my presence in this, I've done hundreds of circles now, then they're just part of it. Then it sort of catalyzes it for them, and then their hearts are open to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so profound. So, what would you define as earth medicine? How would you define earth medicine? Because I know you talk a lot about that. And I've always
Yeah.
just been curious. Like, I mean, it's such a broad kind of topic, or even how would you even kind of really formulate what earth medicine is?
Yeah, well, I think what I would, because we're as Indigenous people, it's just a natural part of who we are. So it's hard to make it a colonized definition in that way. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. So I think in a way, it's like it's decolonizing it's sort of decolonizing the way that we've been taught about the earth, that we own it, that we are superior to it, that we even like that we own land, like all of those kind of phrases. I always question people or have them be curious about, how can you be in right relationship with the earth? How can you be a co-creator? How can you see that as our oneness? Just be in relationship with it, and not feel like you have ownership, or that you have sort of taken over it. And I think that for Indigenous people, earth medicine is who we are. We are earth. So it's just truly oneness. That's how I would define it.
Yeah. And, I find a lot of people are waking up to that type of information. And I think that's probably why you become so popular. And a lot of it's just it's just reconnecting. And a lot of people are kind of like, yeah, that really makes sense.
Yeah.
That really just, there's something true about it. And if I remember, there was the movie, I think it was kind of best kind of connected to that. You remember the movie Avatar?
I do, but not a lot of Indigenous people like that
No,
movie.
no, I know, but it really kind of woke up people for the disconnection to the earth. And I think that's why it was so profound in what it means. And I know that your book had really kind of just helped speak to that too as well, which was really important. Now, you were talking about being a homeopath. Now, are you still a homeopath?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not registered anymore. No, I was a homeopath for 15 years. Yeah, I had a private practice for about 15 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
then yeah, then I wanted to move my work online. I wanted to just have a bigger reach and have a global. I really wanted to dream about this global medicine circle that I wanted to have, which I had for 3 years, almost 3 years, after I closed my practice down. So I love homeopathy. I mean, it's not like I've lost anything. I just don't pay my fees to be, registered in that way. But I love homeopathy. It has saved my life. I can say that. I've used it for myself. That's how I know that it works so much, because I use it for myself on my own journey in so many ways, and I just wanted to share it with others, which is why I went to school for homeopathy. And then seeing the miracles in my own practice, it's something I'll always carry in my toolbox. And I'll just, yeah, I love it. It's energy medicine, and that is sort of the medicine that I use every day.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it's just basically a very parallel energy, between that, because it is vibrational medicine, stuff like that. For those who are listening, maybe just kind of touch on what homeopathy is. I know a lot of my listeners are probably going, geez, Mike, I know what homeopathy is. But for a lot of the people who don't know, because I get a lot of newbies, this is one of the things I love about my channel. I get a lot of new people that are just rediscovering or just learning about a lot of these topics. And that's why I always sit, always ask my guests is kind of just touch on little things so that my guests are not going, what is she talking about? I don't understand. So let's talk just a little bit about homeopathy real quick.
Yeah, well, because people do get homeopathy and naturopathy mixed up a lot. Homeopathy is vibrational medicine, and it's sort of based on the premise that like cures like. So I'll give you an example. So if you say when you cut an onion, and you cut an onion, those tears start to flow, and you start to feel like you kind of have really bad allergies. So the homeopathic remedy onion would help to heal similar symptoms like that. So if you had a cold or you had allergies where your eyes were running like that, you would take homeopathic onion, and that would cure you basically. That's a very like diluted, easy explanation of that, but it really does work like that. And there's been times in my life where I've not been able to get out of bed. I have lupus, and I've had really bad chronic illness over my life, and I haven't been able to walk up the stairs or move my arms because my arthritis was so bad. And homeopathy has been the thing that has saved me, or hair loss, or skin stuff. Like, just homeopathy is like a dream for me. So, and it matches like your body, but then also your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. So it's working on all the layers of your wholeness, which is why I think it works so well, because we're more than just a body.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. I mean, that's the great thing about holistic health. I mean, we're incorporating, excuse me, the whole idea of, mind, body, and spirit. And, so it's so interesting that you've kind of reconnected to your roots and using earth medicine, because homeopathy in a sense is a little bit, I wouldn't say well, it is kind of earth medicine in some ways. It's
It
the
is.
vibration of the plant or whatever the product was. The vibration of that is the one that's doing the healing. So are you still having, I was going to say, do you still have lupus?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't just go away. Yes. I have ups and downs with it, but I treat it, naturally in the best way that I can, and with a lot of spiritual work. Yeah, it still impacts me.
Yeah, like you wouldn't, if just speaking to you, you wouldn't have noticed. Because that's a very tough disorder to live with on a daily basis. And somebody who's so active and vibrant and things like that, you would never know. Then you have kids, and you got a busy lifestyle, and then you got this, you got this big business that you're running now, and you're an author. You got so much going on. Like, how do you keep and maintain your own energy throughout those days?
That's a really good question. I think I'm still learning. I'm still learning. That's why as I said, I had a homeopathic practice for 15 years. I had a membership for almost 3 years. I burn out. It's a really big lesson for me to learn. So I'm trying to find more sustainable ways to use my energy and to work with my energy in those ways, because it can be really. I have really big dreams. It's really hard to live in this physical body with really big dreams, because I do. I also have an oracle deck coming out with Hay House next year. So they're part of my big dreams, and I know that it's like my physical body doesn't necessarily match those dreams all the time. So I need to really like rework my life in different ways to just see how I can manage that to get those dreams out in the world. Yeah, yeah. So I'm a work in progress.
Nice. Yeah. So let's talk about those oracle cards. Those sound like, I love oracle cards. And I know a lot of my listeners love oracle cards. Actually, I'm going to have a lady on tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about oracle cards, and we're going to have a podcast about that. So you have your own deck coming out. Is that based on the 13 moons and the animals, or
No,
do we have a little taste of that, or you can tell us a little
yeah,
bit?
I can talk
Yeah.
about it. It's a separate kind of thing. It's good. Right now the working title is Sacred Medicine Oracle. So I'm not sure when Hay House is going to say stamped it. That's what it is. But it's Indigenous teachings. It's different teachings. So there's things like drum medicine and plantkin, and just all different beautiful Indigenous medicines. And I have this incredible author. She's from the States, but she's designing them for me. And then I'm writing all of the copy and like channeling the cards. It's really exciting. It's basically like, yeah, my dream come true.
Yeah. Like, that's, well, it's, I think a lot of people who become a Hay House writer usually start with the book, and then they have their own deck too as well. It's always so interesting. It's like a parallel thing to have. And it's so fantastic that the fact that, even though if people can't connect with you personally, they have your oracle cards that has your vibration and your indigenous energy in those cards, which is so powerful and healing as it is. Plus, they have whatever the spirit of your channeling into those cards too, which a lot of people don't understand too, is when you do these cards and you do writing stuff like that. And I know so many people who, when they do are writers, are channeling. They're connecting to their spirit guides, they're connecting to source or whoever, and they're pulling that energy into those cards. And that's can be so profound. And I think that's why they become so popular.
I think so too. It really is. A friend said to me the other day, like, your writing is like a transmission. And I said, oh, that's a beautiful way to say it, because I love that. That's what it was just felt like. And that's why it sort of had to be perfect to have the transmission come through. There's had to be like, my candles had to be lit, and I had to light some smudge, and I needed to be like a sacred altar space for my transmissions to come through. So
Yeah.
I'm just so excited about that. But it's
Yeah.
not
Well,
well.
it's going to be amazing. So, so are we going to have like, once, this whole COVID thing gets burnt out and everything's back to normal, so we're going to see you on stage and platforms and doing the I Can Do festivals, if they still have those anymore? Or?
Oh, I would love to do that. That was always my dream. When I was 20, I remember going to some of the I Can Do It conferences, and I did over the years. And I just thought one day I'll be on there, but I really actually didn't think I would. So it really is incredible that I'm here now, and I would love to be on the stage one day.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to be. It's just a natural progression. I can definitely see that. So, one of the things I've always been curious about too, as well, I know you talked about is a medicine wheel.
Mhm.
Maybe for my listeners, kind of talk about what a medicine wheel is.
Yeah, so it is sort of a creation or a representation for Indigenous people. And you would say tribe, every nation has their own understanding, their own animals, their own understanding of the directions. So I don't think people understand always that all of the First Nations across Canada or across Turtle Island are basically like their own country. Like, everybody kind of just makes it all the same, but everybody has different practices. So our Anishinaabe medicine wheel, even from just my territories that I'm from.
Okay, okay. So let's just kind of break down the territory. So if people are listening, they go, so geographically, if you just kind of maybe geographically, let people know exactly where that is, because people are going, okay, where is that? Is that Ontario? Is that this? Where is it? Like, what's
Yeah,
the?
so there's different Anishinaabe territories, I'd say, but like, so I'm Ojibwe. My maternal side is from Cape Croker, which is by the Georgian Bay, by like Owen Sound area in Ontario, and then my father's side is from a place called Serpent River, which is also in Ontario, and then all of my grandparents and great grandparents are from different First Nations across Ontario, so it's very Ontario based. My lineage is. And I would, but there's different First Nations. There's Algonquin, there's Cree, there's just different people in even Ontario space. Ontario is really big.
Yeah.
So my medicine wheel, the one that was sort of passed down to me, has in each of the directions. So the east represents the spring, new beginnings. The eagle medicine is there. That is where we take our leaps, we plant our seeds. That east direction is the first. We kind of, that's where we start smudging. That is like where we do our ceremony. We start in the east. And then that also represents like babyhood or childhood. We go to the south, that is deer medicine. That's the summer, where we are like really like nourishing ourselves, nourishing our dreams, taking action steps. That is a time of like adolescence. And then you go into the west, and that's where the buffalo is. And that is fall, surrender, death, letting go, all of those things. That represents adulthood. And then we go into the winter and the north, which is bear, which is hibernation, integration, rest, all that time. So if you really, all of the cycles are important. This is my favorite part of the medicine wheel, is it teaches that every stage, every cycle, every season is of equal importance, because we can rush through fall, rush through winter, or just not want to be there, right? Like, from a personal level, we're like, oh, things are dying, I feel crappy, I don't want to be here, let me get
Yeah.
to the fall. So, or even winter, right? We're in it like an inner winter, it can feel so uncomfortable, because we're like, why is everyone else busy, and why am I feeling like this? So I love the medicine wheel to say, but this is so vital to your development. You are not going to have a good spring and a good eagle season if you've not done all of the deep other stuff. So I love that balance.
I love that too. That is really poignant. I love that, because that really gives me a new perspective, because, I get into my brain that I'm like basically one of those people. It's like, screw winter, let's just get this over with so I can get into spring and get into summer. And then it's realizing there is an importance, there is a reason why we have these particular seasons, why, this is the bear, we're hibernating, we're doing these sort of things. It's really important.
Yeah. Imagine the Earth skipped the seasons, right? Like, what would happen? We would be in trouble. We would.
But you know what? You know how many Canadians would love that? You'd be like, oh, forget, let's forget winter,
You might miss it a little bit.
Oh, I would. I'm an outdoorsman. I'd be like, I'm already thinking like ice fishing already. Like my brain is like, oh my geez, I can hopefully it stays colder enough to get on the ice. So, but I love the winter. I mean, I'm outdoors. I enjoy it. I love the seasons, and that's why I do enjoy living in Canada because we do have those four distinct seasons. So, I'm not one of those. I mean, there are times, in February where you'd be thinking about, yeah, you know what, Florida would be really good right now. Maybe the Cayman Islands, let's just go down somewhere warm and sunny. But
Yeah.
again, it's so poignant how everything has a very specific thing, and everything deals with seasons and times where it always has that part of growth and relaxation, and it's just based on, like I said, it's based around nature. You just watch nature. Nature doesn't complain; it just does a thing.
Yep. Yep. So true.
Yeah, yeah. I always find it so amazing. So I have to ask, are you going to be doing another book?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Right now, I'm going to say it was a really hard process. I don't know how people write more than one. It was a lot, but I think I have to get through, yeah, just get through some of the processing of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can already see them down in Houston. There, be going, yeah. Let's maybe see if we can do another book already. I know this book's already launched, but let's just see it. So I can just imagine you getting a call says, you know what, this book was doing so well. Yeah, do you think you have another one in you?
I do have another one in me. I think yeah, yeah, I do. I definitely do. I think also like writing during COVID was really a really, really hard thing to do with two little kids running around. So I think if I had spaciousness and I could actually go to like a beautiful cafe, you know how like you romanticize it and just like write like that would be a really beautiful thing to be able to do. But I have more words inside of me. I definitely have more decks inside of me. So that would be a definite thing.
I see like at least three. I see at least three books for sure. Like at least a trilogy, anyways.
So I
Definitely, they're the trilogy. Yeah. So one of the things that I know you talked in another interview is about your own personal healing, stuff like that. And I think it's such a lovely story. And we're always on this process of healing ourselves, right? We're always on this journey. Do you remember when the first time you started connecting to your ancestors, like the divine or the ancestors? Do you remember when the first time that was?
Yeah, I do remember. It was kind of frightening. You know, when I was really little, I'd be in my bedroom and these dark figures would come into my room and I wouldn't know who they were or why they were there. And I would just slam the light on and like kind of run to the bathroom or just like I'd be so scared. And that was when I was really small. So that would probably be the first understanding of like sort of spirit coming to me in that way. But it wasn't until I got really sick and then started to see healers, you know. So I was 17 when I got really sick. And then when I was in university, I got even sicker just because of all the stress. And so at that time, I remember seeing healers and they'd be like, your ancestors have been calling to you since you were really little. And I'm like, oh, that's who they are, you know, just like kind of going back thinking, oh my goodness, they've been trying to talk to me and just bring out different teachings and medicine for me for so long. But it wasn't until I actually kind of started seeing some healers that they reflected it back to me and I understood.
Yeah, it always kind of like, yeah, you always need that, other healer sometimes to kind of like reflect that back to you, because then it gives that confirmation that, hey, I'm not going batshit crazy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and it's so nice and so profound. So, what are some of the teachings? Are they still working with you, or have your peeps changed, as I like
Hmm.
to say?
Yeah, well, I think because I've done so much healing work around some of the generational trauma that I've carried in my system and in my body, they do change. They do change here and there, you know. And also, I've had ancestors pass over to the other side. I think that, like my grandfather, you know, and I think he guides me a lot more now. He couldn't guide me a lot in the earthly realm because there was so much trauma there, but in the spirit realm, he's very clear. So I hear him a lot. And there's other ancestors that were medicine people that come in and out if I'm doing hands-on healing. I don't do that much anymore, but as I was doing that, I had different ancestors come in. So there's definitely different energies that come in and out for me. The animals even change, and then you know sometimes I have angelic beings or like light beings that come in that work through me and channel through me. But yeah, the ancestors they just kind of take turns. I think if they're going through their own healing, wherever they are, I feel like they kind of come in when they're ready.
Yeah, it's always so amazing when you start understanding and allowing that information to come through and noticing how profound that could be. Like, I mean, I've heard so many stories where it's like you're a little kid, and next you know, you see this ghost or dead grandpa in the bottom of your by your bed there, and everybody freaks out and everybody shuts it off. And it wasn't until later on they usually have something like some type of event to kind of trigger that, to kind of reawaken what they were seeing, stuff like that. Are you mainly a clairvoyant, or?
I would say yes, clairvoyant, clairaudient at sometimes too, and definitely clairsentient. That I feel a lot. I say I feel see, like that's like I feel things very, and then it's almost like it comes at the same time. So that's typically what happens. Like when I used to do, usually when I used to see people in person, the healers would always tell me like, you know, you feel things way too deep. You're taking it into your body, but that would be how I would process it, right?
You're speaking to the choir here.
I
Oh my.
know. So it was just, so I had to learn different ways so that I wouldn't get sick, right? Because a lot of that, because my physical body was challenged a lot of the times, I had to learn different ways to set boundaries energetically so that I wouldn't take all of that in. But it's still not perfect. Like that's just my easiest way of going in and feeling into something.
Yeah, I am the same way. It took me a long. Again, my background is in Reiki too as well, and I had a clinical practice. And as much as I love doing it, I love seeing the profound effects on that. I was getting sick all the time. I was feeling low. I was feeling drained, and I made a decision, to decide to maybe start working with cancer patients. I had, to work at a cancer support center, and that just took me down the rabbit hole. I was just like, I was as sick as the people I was working with. And because I was just taking on all that energy. And I took a long time, and I'm basically the same way. I mean, I'm a lot better now. I have a lot stronger energetic boundaries now. I don't do a lot of hands-on healing. I teach more, but I don't do a lot of hands-on because it's just too hard for me. I just said, it's just too much. But I fully understand that process. And you really need to really call in those energetic boundaries. And people go, well, just send some white light over. I put white light on. I put the shields on. I got my animals around me. I mean, I got a whole army around me, but still, it's just, you know how it is. It just, the energy just kind of flows through to you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So if people are looking to get a hold of you and they want to find out about your circles, your work, anything else that you're doing, how do they best get a hold of you?
I'd say to follow me on Instagram. That's usually where I announce everything first. Is the best way to be in touch with me. And then you can always join my email list. That is like a way you can go to ashafrost.com, and there's different offerings there that you can sign into. And if you did buy the book and you haven't got there's like a free 13 moon ceremony guide that you can receive too to go along with the book. That's a really beautiful free guide that accompanies it.
Yeah, so that'd be ashafrost.com. That's
That would
basically
be on there. The actual book, yes, go to ashafrost.com because that would probably be the best link at that time.
the best link to do that too. Are you still doing circles and stuff like that? Or are you doing them online or?
I do some online. Yes, it's been yes. I'm actually going to be launching a new program called Thunderbird Rising. So it's going to be
I like that.
it's going to be for healers and spiritual leaders and visionaries who want to rise into their gifts in a really beautiful, sustainable way. So that will be coming out probably springtime.
Yeah, I really like that. I love that. When you say that, it's like I kind of got little chills on that. It's like, oh, that sounds really good. So, yeah, make sure I'll have all the Ash's descriptions and information in the description below. So if you're watching the YouTube video, just scroll down. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, again, I'll have it in the description too, so that you can follow Instagram. We got a lovely Instagram account, Facebook too as well. All the social media stuff.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time. And I'm just going to sign off on the podcast here. So this has been the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Thank you so much for joining me, and goodbye for now.